Seniors raising their voices. Climate action blues. Seniors raising their voices. Climate action blues. Borrowed time disappearing. Gotta pay them dues. Action.
Action now.
Action.
Action now.
So the warnings have been coming at us now for decades. And now it's undeniable that we have unprecedented amounts of fossil fuels emissions, carbon, in the atmosphere than there has been for over 100,000 years. And the consequences are that the planet is warming.
We had such a big drought. The bush was tinderboxed. Creeks dried up, springs dried up. And these fires started from lightning strikes. There were, I don't know, probably over 100 lightning strikes in a 20-minute period.
We've had unprecedented levels of temperature around the globe, and we now know that it's the human use of fossil fuels. And yet, despite the warnings that have come to us now for decades, this year we are going to produce the highest level of emissions ever recorded. Like we've been told for over 20 years, we've got to reduce emissions.
We are all bats and funny hats and activists at large. The problems of the world would fade if grannies were in charge. A world that's cool and healthy is the message that we bring. Let's work to combat climate change when grannies come to
Our goal is to make a Canada-wide voice for a livable future. It's the whole biosphere and all creation that's affected.
The climate emergency will not break us, it will make us stronger. Together we can redefine what the future looks like. Because when the youth lead and when generations unite, the world listens.
So we must stand up now in peace and work together for non-natives and natives to fight this demon.
I have been realizing for the last 5 or 6 years just what a crisis we're in, but it really scares me for my grandchildren. We're hoping to hear that there will be a lot more solar and wind initiatives put in place. When I look at the graphs of countries around the world and the amount of renewable energy that they've created, Canada's way, way behind. We're still putting all our money in subsidies behind fossil fuels, and that's wrong. We really need to get on board and start looking at renewable energy.
EI is the only province in Canada that has a legislated whole-of-government approach to climate action. By 2040, our emissions will be level where carbon neutrality is achieved.
So one suggestion came up that the government take charge of these, whether it's heat pumps or solar panels, over the lifetime. And then in terms of supply and demand and replacement, it's a lot easier when you have one source rather than having every individual homeowner having to find an electrician, an installer, a this and a that.
It seems like we are planning to build for the 1950s and 60s. We're building more and more highways. In 40, 50 years, these are going to look like ridiculous. Why did they put all that concrete, all that asphalt everywhere when there's going to have to be public transport?
People over 60 years of age and those who are 18 to 34 are equally concerned about climate change. Our parents who have mortgages and kids and jobs and running around, the younger families, they're a little bit busy right now. So our job is to reach across that generation to our grandkids. And we would like to read our pledge to the younger generations.
I will celebrate the beauty of the natural world. All of us depend on it and need to share its abundance equally. I understand that climate breakdown affects us all, and I commit to protecting all of us from this threat.
Hydrofracking will poison our waters. Shale gas is more filthy than coal. We know that it's profits you're after. You don't give a frack for us all. England has stopped cause of earthquakes. Quebec and New York took a pause. Arkansas has a lawsuit and earthquakes. But New Brunswick is fracking because they're stupid, greedy. They think we don't know what's at stake.
I spoke to a college class earlier this week about why we have a moratorium on shale gas. And these kids who are now voting in their first election, were like 6 and 7 years old when we first fought for the moratorium, which was passed back in 2015. They didn't know anything really about it. We needed to be talking about the actions that we had to take to get the moratorium on fracking and to now, hopefully, to extend it.
We cannot develop any more fossil fuels. We can't burn the stuff they've got. We've got to eliminate greenhouse gas emissions. It's only at zero that we start to get this thing under control.
Stop buying into the debate that has been created by the fossil fuel industry that climate change is not real or it's not proven or it's just a part of a natural cycle. The fossil fuel industry has an agenda, and the survival of future generations is not a concern for them.
So this is our grandson, Escher. We're doing this because we want a future for him.
Every single person counts. Every single kilo, everything counts. So please, treat the climate crisis like the acute crisis it is and give us a future.
Every atom in our bones, every spark that lights our souls, navigating space and time, connecting life of every kind, and all the walls around us crumble in the sun, and the ties that bind us remind us we are one.
We want to be the last generation hooked on fossil fuel and welcoming in the first generation of our children and grandchildren who will enjoy a prosperous and sustainable future.
We're going to need massive public investment in public infrastructure from the municipal, provincial, and federal levels. We're going to need those same structures of government to divest from their subsidies to the fossil fuel and the military-industrial complex. We're going to need them to put that money into mass transit, into proper housing, the way that they were doing 50, 60 years ago.
There have been incredible cost reductions in the kinds of technologies that we need to get to zero carbon. Solar photovoltaic panels are now the cheapest way to make electricity. Heat pumps, using the electricity to magically bring the heat from outside and put it inside your house really efficiently, about 300% efficiency compared to a natural gas furnace. Those are becoming things that we can make sense of economically.
As we continue to exit this period of climate stability, the length and intensity of heat waves in Kingston will likely increase dramatically. Cities around the world face heat-related deaths now numbering in the hundreds of thousands every single year. We need to do everything we can to prevent this situation from getting worse. We need to end the use of fossil fuels now, because later is too late.
Clean air is a right. We will not give up the fight. Clean water is a right. We will not give up the fight. Our future is a right. We will not give up the fight.
And whereas carbon emission reduction is necessary for a livable future, made feasible by better action by all levels of government to phase out fossil fuels, lower carbon emissions, and work towards a just transition to renewable energy. Therefore, I, Mark Sutcliffe, Mayor of the City of Ottawa, do hereby proclaim October 1st, 2024, Seniors for Climate Day in Ottawa.
Our love for our children, our communities, and nature is what keeps us going. This is our inspiration for climate action. We are driven to take care of what we love.
We have a history for fighting for positive change, and we're not slowing down. The future depends on what we do now, and I, for one, am not giving up.
What we're doing here today, it's all about the planet. It's about loving our land enough to take a chance and speak out. And it's to get all grandparents across Canada. I think there's 10 million of us. We want you all in the same movement together.
This is what our world needs, is for the grandmothers to share hope.
And we got on board because of love for our grandkids. That was the major reason. And besides, we've really discovered we're quite a powerful group.
We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. That climate solutions exist. We are beyond the fact of explaining what those solutions are. We're here to say that later is too late. When will the Canadian government have the political will to put people over profit, to put my future before their economic gain?
We have to be careful with this just, clean transition to green energy, because all of those so-called critical minerals are located in Indigenous traditional territory, and the exploratory mining has already begun. The path forward is you folks helping us raise that Indigenous knowledge. It's just as valid as Western science. The more people understand that we are not outside of nature and we're not in control of nature, the more we're going to advance humankind.
Last week, I attended the announcement of the latest report by Johann Rockstrom, a scientist who heads the Potsdam Institute in Berlin, in which he tells us about the state of the 9 planetary boundaries. These 9 boundaries include the amount of carbon in the atmosphere, the state of fresh water, the pH of the oceans, the phosphorus cycle, the nitrogen cycle. There are 9 of these boundaries that we must not pass if we are to live in a sustainable manner. We have already passed 6 of those 9 boundaries. So we're in the danger zone for 6, soon to be 7 of those boundaries. Beyond that boundary is an unlivable biosphere for an animal like us.
I farm at Delow, Manitoba. That's Treaty 2 territory. I raise crops and livestock. I belong to the National Farmers Union. We're noticing in farming, we're losing a lot of our native insects and birds that are beneficial to us. We need more biodiversity. We need to start working seriously on things that we do know how to reduce our climate footprint.
We need a stringent cap on fossil fuel emissions. We need an end to fossil fuel subsidies. We need a freeze on new oil and gas projects.
We must also consider the impact of our decisions. 7 generations to the future. How will these choices impact our children our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and those yet to be born.
Our greatest contribution to global warming is not the fuels we burn here at home, it's the fuels we export to other countries. Those fuels are now causing devastation all around the world, including here at home. We can no longer pretend that these disasters only happen in other places. They are happening here, and our own fossil fuels are part of the cause.
My climate crisis is also getting involved in the Alberta coal phase-out. To get rid of coal, that dirty, polluting substance, off of our electricity grid, and winning. And in June of 2024, the last bit of coal was burned in Alberta.
The fate of our mountains and water we fear depends on this message ringing out loud and clear. So now Southern ranchers and activist groups must once again rally and bring out the troops.
An extra activity to visit the Royal Bank of Canada, the highest contributor to oil and gas development in the world. And we want to ask them why.
We sing for our children and grandchildren too, and our voices ring out clear and strong with the news. Those big corporations are fouling our lands. We must change this system, it's way out of hand.
So for me, my work is all about fracking and LNG because gas is one of BC's biggest climate problems. It's never been a profitable industry, and in past years, our governments have subsidized it to the tune of $3 billion a year. And many Indigenous communities along pipeline routes have also been fragmented and devastated, forcibly removed from their lands and divided. We saw this with the Coastal GasLink pipeline, and we're starting to see it again with a new mega pipeline being proposed through Gitineau and Gitxsan territory, the Prince Rupert Grass Transmission Line. It is going to be one of the next big fights, and they can definitely use all of our support from folks down south.
Well, frack grass is like one of the silliest things that BC can be doing. It's ruining a lot of water, and it's just devastating the land up there. There's some 30,000 wells so far and more planned. And then there's also, you look at natural gas, has to be compressed to get it onto a ship to make it into a liquid. And that takes a ton of energy. Like the one that is going in at Kitimat right now apparently is taking like half of Site C energy to get it started. And if they don't take it from Site C, then they'll be generating their own. And that just puts more CO2 out of the air.
People really need to talk about this issue. There's a lot of concern. There's a lot of feelings of helplessness and hopelessness. And there's a lot of grief because of the wildfires that we experienced over the summer. Like, we were surrounded. There was one across the valley over there that spread like wildfire. It spread really fast. And there was one towards McBride. And then there was one right up above our place on the mountain.
I lost my home in Jasper in this fire.
Apparently the fire started through lightning, and then it took out a third of the town. It took 3 days, really, and then our houses had burnt down. This has been my children's childhood home. They were little kids. That's where all the memories sit. You know, somehow I needed to let my sadness get out, and I brought out my fiddle.
The Fraser River runs through the Robson Valley, but the glaciers are melting. They're receding at an incredible rate. And, that's it. They don't make more glaciers. Once they're gone, they're gone.
There was a time when man took no more than he needed. That time is gone. There was a time when he gave something back. That time is gone. There was a time when he worshipped the Creator and honored creation. That time too is gone. And now the waters are polluted, our national resources are all but gone, and creation is dying. It is time to find our way back to the earth.
And so I say, let's have a transformation. Let's all work together and transform the way that we are going to have to live. As we change our energy source, we've got to support the people who were involved in that industry to make a transition to another way of earning a living. So we've got to work together and transform our impact on the world that we live in.
Take the earth and place her in your palm. Give her a rebirth, diffuse all the bombs, and cradle her like she's your own. We can reach global harmony. It starts right here with you and me. But if not now, then when? We can reach global harmony. It starts right here with you and me. But if not now, then when? But if not now, then when? But if not now,